98FM. This is 98FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
Weekdays from 10 a.m. on 98FM.
One of our listeners has been in touch with us, absolutely furious about something that happened on the Dart the other night, heading from Bray towards town. And she's really angry about what happened. Vicki, welcome to 98FM.
Hi, Adrian.
How are you?
Grand.
So when were you on the Dart?
We got the 20 to 7 Dart from Bray Station.
On Sunday?
Heading on Saturday night.
On Saturday night.
Evening.
Okay,
yeah.
Saturday evening, heading towards town from Bray.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's yourself and your 8-year-old daughter.
Yeah. She's got a hot chocolate and Bray, and off we went on the train.
Okay.
The next train wasn't for half an hour, so I said we'd get that one.
Okay.
So she was messing on my phone, looking up prices. We were looking up prices for an impending trip that we were planning on taking with a friend.
Mm-hmm.
And didn't take any notice about what train station we were at. And I think it was Paulines or Dalkey, a group of teenagers got on. Now, the Dart wasn't exactly packed. And I think it was Paulines or Dalkey they got on. And a boy and a girl sat opposite me. And that was grand. After a few minutes, they started cursing. I politely said I didn't want my 8-year-old...
Sorry, they started kissing?
They started, kissing and talking and things like that.
Right.
So after a few minutes, they started cursing. I politely, after a minute or two, said I didn't want to her listening to the cursing. Could they stop? So they said sorry and blah, blah, blah. Off they went. They stopped cursing. And then after, I think we'd reached Glenageary, and another fella and another girl joined them. And out came the bag of drink. They had vodka, cans, and they were saying that they were only 14, 15. They were planning, but the two girls were planning on saying they were staying in each other's houses and they were going to stay in this fella's house in a certain part, the part. So that was grand. So then this guy, he was really intoxicated and they kept cursing again. I go, guys, I've asked just politely, could you please stop? I don't want her listening to it. So the guy that was really drunk started annoying the chap behind my little one because she was sitting opposite me in the same part, and he was annoying him. And the guy, everyone was just ignoring them on the train. But then when the curses kept starting, I said it again. I was like, what am I supposed to do? So then they started talking about sex stuff. They were on about blowjobs and all that. And I was like, guys, I don't want to listen to. Only the next train wasn't for half an hour, I wouldn't have got off. There was another lady further down that got off in Dunleary, and she had a younger child, and she was like, fair play for you for saying something. I'm going to say it now when I get off the deck. Now, I don't know if she was deliberately getting off or that's where she was getting off.
Mm.
But they just wouldn't listen. And there was people there, and nobody else asked them politely to stop. So then they opened another can and took the lid off it, and it just about missed the corner of my daughter's eye.
Now, okay, so this was severe antisocial behaviour. You tried to get them to stop. They were talking about sex and prostitutes and oral sex and
sex, everything like that.
Right, in front of your 8-year-old. Many people were on the carriage.
Well, around me, I'd say there was about 10. There was 2 couples behind me. They were obviously going in town. I'd say they were in their early 50s. Mm-hmm. There was a man behind my daughter. And there was other people kind of scattered. So I'd say there was about 10 or 12 other people, and I'd say there was about 10 in that group.
And in terms of your daughter, she obviously is listening to all this stuff, looking at the behaviour of them, drinking cans, drinking vodka, everything else. So she heard everything, but I believe as a result now she started asking you all sorts of questions.
Yeah. And she's the type of kid that will say it and then she'll forget about it, but then she could say it again. It's just, I don't want her going back to grandparents and repeating that. Or she's gone into school this morning. Now, I don't think she would say it in school, but what if she did?
In terms of, so give me an idea of the conversation that your 8-year-old heard. And by the way, if you happen to have young children around, you might want to switch off the radio because I want to hear exactly what they were talking about.
When they started cursing, it bothered me, but it wasn't overly concerned, because she's going to hear curses on the road. She's going to hear curses out in public. But when they started on about sex, one guy goes, so that girl didn't give you a blowjob wherever they were, when she started hearing like that. And then Another girl goes this to another girl, go tell your mum you're staying in my house and then we'll stay in this house and there's 2 bedrooms in that house. So you can go into one with this fella, I can't remember the name she said.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll go into the other room. And then prostitutes, one of them said, oh, would you pay to go with a prostitute and everything?
Right.
It was just
in other words,
horrible.
totally inappropriate conversation to be having around a child.
An 8-year-old, but let alone they're only 14 at the same time.
Which is
and
even
they're
more
talking about
shocking.
stuff
Yeah,
like-
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
And in terms of the way you asked them to stop.
I politely asked them to stop, like,
Yes.
I
But
just said, guys, I don't want her listening to this. She's only 8. And then one of them turned around and said they had an 8-year-old brother. And then another girl goes, I've got a 12-year-old brother. I was like, okay, you wouldn't like them listening to it, and I certainly don't want my 8-year-old listening to it.
And they just ignored you.
They ignored me. Well, the cursing stopped, and they said sorry for that, and then it continued again and again. And then I was really getting annoyed when they started with sexual stuff.
And okay, so they just, even though you asked them to stop, they didn't.
No.
And what annoyed you most was that other passengers did nothing. They didn't intervene at all, and there was no security at all.
No.
So you'd
none.
Could you not have moved seat?
I could have moved seats, but they were still on the carriage, and they were so loud, it didn't matter where I'd moved in the carriage, they would have heard her. And if I'd got off the train, the next one wasn't for a half an hour, and it was freezing cold. So why should I stand out in the cold after buying my tickets for them to be left on the train?
A lot of people are asking, why didn't you just get up and move to the next carriage?
There wasn't the door connecting. Do you know the way some of the doors...
But at a station, you could have hopped off one and jumped onto the
And then
other.
it would have been gone. The train was going really quick between the stations. I was tempted to do that, but I wasn't going to miss the dark. By the time I got onto one carriage, onto the next. I knew people would come on and say this, like...
Okay, stay there for 1 second. Eamon, you're on 98FM. How are you, Eamon?
How are you
Good,
going, mate?
good, thanks, Eamon. What did you want to say?
Listen, what I want to say is, why should that lady have to move from that carriage?
She shouldn't have to. No, I agree. She shouldn't have to.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. If I had been on that, what is wrong with people? If I had been on that, I would have sorted them lads out very smartly. Because I take no crap off anyone. And have these people on public transport, annoying people, not giving up seats to old folks and all. It's an absolute disgrace. And what way? Are they're from Dalkey. And what sort of pains are bringing the likes of that scum up?
No, I agree that's unacceptable behaviour, unacceptable for people to go on in that way and all of that. But, I mean, move carriage.
No, why should she? She's entitled to be in that carriage. We have to have respect for everybody. But I'll tell you one thing, if I'd have been on that carriage, I would have lost respect for them lads because I would have sorted them out very smartly. And that's what's wrong with this country. There's nobody willing to intervene anymore. They're all turning their heads far from a few people that would do something. But I tell you one thing, I'd have loved to have been on that carriage with them lads. I'd have loved it. And what's wrong with people? Get off.
Okay, but, and what, people should stand up to these teenagers, should they?
And that's the reason why it's happening, because nobody's standing up to them. Because they're 14 years of age, they think they can do what they like. When they brought in this stupid law that you hit your child, I've never heard anything so ridiculous in all my life. And this is the reason why this scum, and it's going to get worse. It's going to absolutely get worse, because they don't have respect for anybody.
Yeah, and Vicki, obviously you wanted somebody like that on the dart, but there was nobody there.
No,
yeah,
I said it to the train driver getting out, and he said security were at the very back of the train. I was like, but they're supposed to be walking up and down. Like, they got off at the same stop as me, and he locked the train, so they couldn't get back on. But they weren't coming out of the train station. They were going towards the track, so I don't know what happened after we left, if they went on the tracks or anything. They were very intoxicated, like.
All right, Pauline, you're on 98FM. Hiya, Pauline.
Yeah. It's all very well saying you could deal with them, that man said you could deal with them, but a group of teenagers can turn very nasty, especially with drink on them and God knows what else.
Yeah, no, I actually agree with you. I think in some cases, especially if they're carrying on disgracefully, I mean, I don't know if you're Rambo or anything, Eamon, but I think
no, you can say that. Yeah,
people would be mad.
Hang on, and what are you supposed to do? Turn the blind eye, and that's the reason why they're doing this. Because
well,
people
that's what
are
the
letting them
security
away
are
with
for.
it.
could I just make the point, what's the girl's name?
Her name is Vicki.
Vicky. She was saying about she couldn't get off the carriage to get on, like you suggest, get onto another
No, I couldn't.
carriage.
No.
I don't see why not. A train will not move off a station until everybody is on and off the train. You can easily get off the train onto the next carriage. It doesn't.
I had
it's
an
not going to
8-year-old with me that was tired, that I wasn't running from one car. An 8-year-old, yeah.
No, an 8-year-old can easily move with you to get onto another carriage, the adjacent carriage. I just don't buy that. The point is, it's not good to have. I mean, I would not. I'd rather stand on another carriage if there was no seats than have my child subjected to that kind of foul language. I mean, you had a responsibility to get off and get onto another carriage.
I have.
And
I paid for an adult ticket and a child ticket into town, and you're telling me to move on.
But
on a busy day of the year,
kind of behaviour. It's a disgraceful thing that happened to your child. I mean, she was listening.
Yeah, I know it is. That's why security should have been on the train.
I wouldn't have done it. I would have taken my child by the hand and got to the next carriage.
I wasn't getting that.
I mean, unless I had bags with me, like a lot of luggage, I'd find it difficult, yes. But if I was just travelling light...
The train wasn't staying long at each station. This is what I'm trying to say.
The train does not move off. A guard cannot move off until all passengers are on and off. They're very strict about that.
Yeah.
All right, stay there for 1 second. Let me just bring in one last call, and that's you, Liz. You're on 98 FM. Your point on this, Liz, is we were all teenagers once.
Yeah. I just listening to it, our biggest problem seems to be the way they were speaking, coursing and talking about sex and the like.
Yes.
And I can understand that she doesn't want our 8-year-old listening to it. But at the same time, like, we were all teenagers once, 14, 15, talking about sex like we knew what we were talking about and like we were all out there having it. Like, she really could have moved. She didn't have to stay so close to the conversation.
I moved away to the other end of the carriage. Okay? I moved from the middle of it to the other. And when I was 14, I wasn't going around drinking.
No, neither was I.
Drink for them is the problem, like. And
neither was
like
I.
Their parents
irregardless of that, though, seriously, you're making a big commotion out of the fact that your child was subjected to coursing and
do you have a child under the age of 10, have you?
I don't have a child, no.
Yeah, so would you like, if you did, so would you like them listening to that on a dart? I
wouldn't like them listening to it, but at the same time, if I was as aggrieved as you are, I would have moved so my child couldn't hear it. At the end of the day, you're saying you couldn't move and I bought a ticket and we have they bought tickets too, otherwise they would have been thrown off the train.
There was no one at barely any of the dart stations. I said they came onto the dart for free, to be honest with you.
That's just something you're assuming, though. But considering that they had money for alcohol and money to go out for the whole day, I'm assuming that they had enough money to buy a ticket for the train, just like you did.
You're assuming as well.
But you're assuming because they were drinking and talking that in a way you didn't like your daughter listening to, that they're assuming they didn't pay to get on the train.
Kids listen to that. There was a younger child on the train as well.
I do understand that.
No,
yeah, but at the same time, the parent of that younger child, you already said earlier, didn't say anything to them. You did.
Yeah, I did, because I stuck up for my child. She was probably afraid to.
A parent of a younger child.
When she was getting off the dart
to say anything.
Well, I don't care. That's her business. Like, she didn't say anything.
Then there's no point using her as being aggravated as well, because at the same time she wasn't aggravated enough to say something. You were. At the end of the day, you had the choice to take your child and move to another carriage if you didn't like how they were speaking. You chose not to do that.
You honestly think it's acceptable for 14-year-olds to go on like that?
No, I don't think. I'm not saying it's acceptable, but at the same time, bitching about it isn't doing you any good. I mean, there's nothing you can do about how somebody speaks. You can't do that, and that seemed to be our main problem when you came on, was how they were speaking in front of your child. You pulled them up because they were coursing. You didn't pull them up on their drinking.
I said the cursing didn't bother me that much. It was when they started talking about sex.
Yeah, but
and that's when it really got to you.
But at the start of the conversation, you said that you asked them to stop the coursing because you didn't want your child listening to it.
After a few minutes, I said to Adrian,
that seemed to be the main point of your aggravation. And at the end of the day, like, you can't. Yeah, so you can't.
She didn't say the cursing. I said to Adrian, it was when they started talking about sex.
Yeah,
and I did say that to Adrian.
But still, are you telling me that at 14, 15 years of age, you never talked about sex with your friends like you knew what you were talking about?
Not at that age.
And, right, well, fair enough, not at that age, but it still boils down to the fact that you had the choice to sit there with your child. You could have moved.
Yeah. And as I've already said, why I didn't move.
Let me ask you, Vicky, what are you planning to do, if anything, about this? Have you complained to Irish Rail?
I reported it to the driver, and as I said, he said security was on the back, so he called for them, and he locked the train so they couldn't get back on. I've tried this morning to get through to DART services, and I couldn't, so I'm going to try now again, because they'll have the cameras on it.
Yes, of course, yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, well, look, I wish you well, Vicky, and it is horrible that you had to put up with that. It is disgusting having to listen to, even if
for an 8-year-old.
Even if you didn't have a child with you, it's disgusting to have to listen to that.
It wouldn't have bothered me half as much. It's just
it was
with
just
her
your,
listening.
yeah. But yeah, like I said, you shouldn't have to put up with that. All right, we appreciate you sharing your story with us, Vicky, and thanks for listening to 98 FM.
Thanks, Adrian.
Thank you. Bye-bye. There you go. That's Vicky with her issue about what happened on the DART the other day. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks.
98 FM.
This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
Weekdays from 10 a.m. on 98 FM.